Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I just want to tell you guys all about my labor and delivery story. I'm getting tons of questions. I wanted to film this way sooner, but with baby in the NICU, it's been real tough to find the time or want to find the time to make the video. So I guess I'll just get right into it and explain like really how it all started and how I went into labor and just what happened. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you would have seen that on the Saturday before I actually gave birth to him, which was on the Wednesday following, we went for a long walk and I kept feeling like I was in labor. Like I kept joking about it. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in labor. And that week before, like I was having like irregular cramping here and there, so I didn't think anything of it. Then it started really picking up. Like it was becoming almost regular in the sense like 1 an hour. I kept thinking, okay, like maybe this is just Braxton Hicks or it's not a big deal. And then as the evening progressed, it really picked up. And so I started thinking like, okay, like should I be worried about this? I don't know if this is normal. Wasn't too concerned. And then as the pain really intensified, I was kind of like, maybe I should be concerned about this and doing something about it. But I still didn't do anything about it. It wasn't until Sunday, because it was still happening, that we ended up, I called my midwife and she was like, okay, come in, let's just check, make sure it's nothing. So I went in and they checked my cervix and it was closed. Nothing picked up on the monitors, because as soon as I got to the hospital, everything stopped, which is why obviously they tell you like stay home as long as possible, because this happens to a lot of people. As soon as they get to the hospital, everything stops, the progression stops, which is a good thing because I didn't want to have a baby at 32 weeks. So then we were sent home because on the monitors it looked like nothing was happening. However, they had like the monitor, because like I was still small, 32 weeks, you're not that big yet, so they didn't have like the monitor that it's supposed to measure very low, because my uterus was still small. Like it wasn't all the way up to the top yet, like someone who's 36, 38, you know, 40 weeks pregnant. It didn't pick up anything. We were sent home. Monday totally picked up again. Went to the hospital, got checked out. There was nothing going on. Apparently they told me I was having Braxton Hicks, not to worry about it, go home, rest, drink a bunch of water. I was probably dehydrated, all these things, which I knew. I was kind of like, okay, like maybe I am. I know I hadn't been drinking like 4 liters of water, maybe only 2, which is still good. Like I definitely wasn't like severely dehydrated or anything. I kind of listened to them. I assumed that they were right. I assumed I was having Braxton Hicks. So I did. I rested. I laid down, like went on bed rest. Even though the doctor had told me like I don't need to be on bed rest, I still laid down for a whole day, drank a bunch of water, thought it would go away. It did not go away. I laid there Monday night having contractions, and anyone who's been in labor knows laying on your back through contractions is the absolute worst thing you can do, the most uncomfortable thing you can do. It's terrible. So I was basically in labor for 3 days. Like it started once I left the hospital on Monday. It really picked up. Like that night was just awful. I couldn't sleep. And then Tuesday morning, because it was so bad and it hadn't stopped, like it was all through the night consistently, Daniel's like, you need to go in, like we've got to go into the hospital again, like something's up. So I called my midwife. She's like, yes, come in, let's see what's going on. They checked me, no cervix dilated. Contractions were definitely picking up on the monitors every 5 to 10 minutes. They weren't super regular. Then the doctor who checked me Tuesday morning basically said, okay, you aren't dilated, it's clear you're having contractions, but it's Braxton Hicks. So I was told again it was Braxton Hicks. Okay guys, I knew in my mind, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So we were there on monitors from about 11 a.m. till 4 p.m. ish, like 3 or 4 p.m. and they were tracking them and they were totally regular the entire time I was there. And then they sent me home because there was nothing they could do, obviously, like if it's going to progress or it isn't. Told me there was nothing they could do for me, that there was nothing to stop them. I think because I wasn't saying I was like in excruciating pain or anything, because to me I'm like, okay, if I am in labor or you guys are telling me this isn't labor, obviously I know labor's going to be way worse. So I just was scaling it, saying like, no, it's not terrible. To me it was like really intense period cramps, but because I knew they would end, it was like a wave, let's say, where it's like, okay, this is happening, but it's fine, because I know they're like, they don't last forever, like you just kind of ride them out, right? So it seemed like it was fine. Didn't say I was in a ton of pain and my cervix was closed. So again, I'm sent home because nothing's happening, I'm not in labor. So I was sent home, and once I came home Tuesday night, I was in labor, like every 3 to 5 minutes, really intense. Some made me cry because I was just like, if this isn't labor, why am I even going through this? Because they told me to rest, I'm laying on my back through all of them, trying to rest. And it was so bad. So I ended up like getting a ball out and like rolling on it through them. And then by like 11 p.m., I was trying to sleep and I'm like, great. Like Daniel told me that I sound like a dying cow in a barn or something. You know what it's like if you guys have been in labor, that I was in labor. And so I'm like moaning and groaning through the contractions. And so Daniel's like, there's no way you're fine. I'm like, well, they told me I'm fine. I'm not in labor. And so I was convinced I was going to go to sleep. And by 11 p.m., he's like, you need to go back to the hospital. Like, this is not normal. Got there. I was on monitors. They could see I was definitely having contractions regularly. So they finally checked my cervix. They're thinking they're going to find nothing again. They think I'm full of shit. I guess they get a lot of people in there who are dramatic, or I don't know, but they weren't taking me seriously. And just a note, you guys know your body's best. If you feel like something's going on, go in. Listen to yourselves, listen to your body. You know when something's going on. I knew. It's just like when on the Saturday, I was like joking to you guys on Instagram. I'm like, I think I'm in labor. I 100% was. It was early labor. It was all starting. I knew. And like what's even weirder too is like that week, my milk dried up completely. My boobs, because Daxon was still trying to breastfeed, hurt so bad. Like because he was sucking on my nipple and there was nothing coming out. My milk had dried up and I thought, you know, this is really weird that like all of a sudden at 8 months pregnant, because I was 32 weeks, my milk is drying up because it's been okay throughout this whole time, and I was anticipating it not drying up till like right before I had a baby. So my body was ready. Like my body, all these things were lining up and it was happening, and there was nothing I did to cause it. Like Daniel started blaming that I was having peppermint mochas. Okay, seriously, like I had 2. There's no way that that caused labor. Yeah, sure, peppermint says that it can. You guys, it's not going to make you go into early labor. What I thought it could have been too was the fact that we had sex on Saturday. You know, it says that can get things going too, but it's like literally we had sex until I was 38 weeks pregnant the last time. It never caused me to go into labor. So it's just, I don't think anything caused it. I think it was just my body was ready. And like my own thought is that maybe I couldn't grow anymore. Like I did just have a C-section 11 months ago. So maybe my body, it was just its safety net of saying, you know what, like if we keep getting bigger, your uterus is going to explode and you're both going to die. That's like my own thought process, is that my body's smart enough to know it was safer to get that baby out. So my body started going through everything. That baby was coming on the Tuesday night that we actually went in, and they admitted me to hospital because they were like, holy shit, your cervix is actually opening, you're 1.5 centimeters dilated, we're gonna give you drugs now to stop it. And it's like, okay, people, you could have given me this 3 days ago when I came in and you guys told me there was nothing you could do. Now all of a sudden there's this magic medication that stops contractions and is hopefully going to stop you from going into labor, and you're going to keep this baby in for another like 3 to 6 weeks. They had told me that if I made it to 34, it's like golden, the baby's fine. So they wanted to try and push to keep it in there till 34 weeks, but their main goal was to give me the steroid shot for baby's lungs and keep the baby in there until they could give me another steroid shot 24 hours later. I got the steroid shot at 2 a.m. So their goal was keep baby in till 2 a.m. on the Thursday. So I'm just supposed to be in misery and have contractions for another whole day in hopes of keeping baby inside so his lungs can be given the steroids so he can breathe better when he comes out. I had the 1 shot of steroids and at 2 a.m. and then the medication, and then every half an hour, or was it every hour, 2 hours? I don't even remember. They had to give me another dose of this medication. So I'm being told to rest, but I'm on a monitor. There's a nurse in my room. Like the nurse did not leave my side because they have to monitor so closely, I guess, when you're in preterm labor. So they are monitoring me. The nurse is sitting right there. I'm told to try and sleep, but she's waking me up every half an hour to like testing for my blood pressure, giving me medication, and hoping that the contractions will slow down. And so from 2 to 4 a.m. they did start to slow down. They became like every 8 minutes. I think between like 4 and 8 a.m. I was able to fall asleep a little bit. Like obviously I was getting woken up still, but the contractions weren't that bad. So then by the next morning, like we got breakfast, I'm just still admitted to the hospital because they really want to make sure they've either stopped and be having more than 4 in an hour. So I was still having 4 in an hour, but they were really light. Like they were nowhere near as painful as the night before. By the time, I think it was like 3 p.m. So like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. they started picking up again. They weren't that bad. Like they were easy to talk through. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm having contraction. Ooh. And then by 3 p.m. it was like, holy shit, it started picking up again. So it was like every 5 to 8 minutes. And by the time like 5:30 rolled around, it was like every 3 to 5. And I was like, you guys, this baby is coming. I'm in labor. Like, so they got me the laughing gas and I didn't like it. I couldn't use it. I was like, can I get up off this bed because this is brutal? And my midwife's like, yes, get up. See, the nurses were telling me I couldn't. And they're like, no, lay down, because it's easier for them on the monitor to be able to track what's going on. So I finally got up, was like rocking it out, having contractions every couple minutes. The OB finally came back in and she's like, okay, I guess this baby's coming. I dilated to 3 or 4 centimeters. So I went from like 2 and then within an hour I was at 4. So it was happening really quickly. So 5:30 they started getting me prepped, ready, giving me everything they needed to, because my OB was like, you know what, I've been in labor now for like 4 days of this happening, my uterus contracting and contracting and contracting and it getting really intense and then slowing down. And she was like, I just don't feel comfortable letting you go through vaginal labor because I don't know how strong your uterus is. We can't tell, and this is happening really, really fast. I really wanted to do a VBAC. The doctor who was on call the day before told me I could. And then as I was in labor at 4 centimeters dilated, the OB came in and she was like, no, I'm not supporting it. And no one in the room supported it. And they all instilled fear in me. We're like, are you really going to risk you and your baby dying? Because if your uterus ruptures, like you and your baby could die. And like just the way they made it, like I'm already in labor. I'm like so tired. I haven't slept in days and I'm just over it. Like, just get this baby out of me. I don't care. I just want him out and I want him alive. And like I didn't know what to expect at 32 weeks, but I was told the baby should be fine. So I was kind of like, if I try for a VBAC right now, and I end up bleeding out because my uterus ruptures, is she gonna be like, I told you so, and like not help me? Like, that's what was going through my mind. So I was like, you know what, I don't care, let's go, let's do the C-section. So they got me prepped. Part of me was just like, oh, this baby is coming, like his head is right there and he's small, can't he just like slip out? But it is what it is. I went in for a C-section. That was the worst fucking thing ever, I'm telling you. Having to sit on that table crunched up like this while they put an epidural in your back between contractions. Those 2 contractions I had to sit through like this were the worst things ever. They were so painful. Yeah, I had a C-section. I've done it before, so I wasn't that scared. It was more like, okay, let's just do this thing, get this baby out safely, not risk my uterus rupturing, because it had only been 11 months. They recommend 18 to 24. And my midwife, who had been doing the research for me to see if I could do a VBAC, wasn't there. And so it was kind of just like, I didn't feel supported. And the OB there was like, I am not doing a VBAC. She was very firm about it. And I mean, I could have said, F you, I'm doing it anyways. I just was too exhausted by that point. And so I was like, okay, whatever, let's just do the C-section. 7:43, baby was born. While I was laying there, I'm probably gonna start crying again. Okay, currently almost 3 weeks postpartum. So emotional. Laying there, knowing, laying there, waiting for the baby to come out, not knowing, like, for me it was like, okay, I've been in labor, so I know the baby's trying to come out, so I know he's alive, but not knowing, like, not knowing, is he gonna be breathing? Is he gonna cry? And that you don't get that experience of having them, put on your chest. Like, they're immediately taken away from you and brought up to the NICU. So luckily, once he was pulled out, because I could feel it happening, like I was like, okay, he's coming. He cried, and it was like the greatest thing ever, because they weren't expecting him to cry. Like at 32 weeks, they might not cry. They might not be breathing. They might need assistance. And so having him cry and hear all the doctors go, he's so big. Like, are you sure he's a 32-weeker? This doesn't make sense. Like, he's so big. He's screaming, like screaming loud. And that was just like, for me, it was such a relief. But it's super weird, like not having your baby put on you. You don't get to try and breastfeed. So I just didn't let it really, I didn't process it and I didn't really think about it. while it was happening, because I was like, I just didn't want to get worked up and super emotional, because I'm like, okay, baby's crying, this is all good news. But then you get wheeled out of the C-section room, and it was like, I was trying to make jokes with all the doctors and stuff and like just talk to them, because it's a really weird situation, your baby getting wheeled out. Daniel left with the baby. I got wheeled into like the room where you just sit before they move you back to your own room by myself. Didn't have a phone, didn't have anything, so didn't know what was going on, and you're just laying there. You just lay there alone with like a baby, and then like I was just thinking, you're like, okay, he's fine. But it was super weird, like feeling my stomach was like almost flat immediately, because baby was small, so my uterus shrunk down really, really fast. And just like, it's this weird feeling. It is so weird. Daniel was like, baby's fine, he's all hooked up. I was on a lot of drugs still, and so I was like, I haven't slept in 4 days. Maybe I should just like use this time to try and sleep before we go see him. And I couldn't move off the bed anyways. Can't get up off the bed. I can't see him tonight. So I didn't end up seeing him till the next morning, and thought, oh, I'm gonna get such a restful sleep because Daxton's not here. Having your baby taken away from you and not seeing him, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. I was like waiting, counting down the hours till like that 6 hours goes by, and it's like, okay, you're allowed to like get up now. So I still had my catheter in, because I told them the last time I had fainted. So I was like, you're not taking my catheter out at 6 hours, you're leaving it in for 12, because the last time you guys didn't let me eat, I fainted, had a seizure, basically. I was like convulsing on the bed backwards. So my scar, I think that's why it was so painful the first time. That's just so much pressure, falling over a bed backwards. And so I said, no, you're not taking the catheter out, Ray. I need it for 12 hours at least, because last time they took it out after 6 and made me get up. So this time I like stayed in bed for 12 till I felt better, got up, went to the bathroom. Daniel's fast asleep. It was like 6 a.m., maybe 5:30 a.m. and I was like, get me to my baby. I need to see him. And so we went over to the baby. I started bawling instantly, because your baby's hooked up to all this stuff, but then it's also so magical because you're finally getting to see them. It was so nice to see him, and then I was so scared to touch him because he was so little. And it's just been a crazy few weeks, but he's doing fine. He's doing amazing. My C-section recovery was so much easier this time around. The first day I was still definitely high on drugs, because I thought I was fine. I was like walking around like I didn't just have surgery. And then day 2 rolled around and I was like, holy shit, I'm sore. This is what I remember. So the drugs wore off and I was like, oh yeah, it is painful. Every day after the C-section gets better, and I'm feeling really, really good now. I have a lot of tissue buildup, because I guess they, you know, 2 C-sections now. So lots of tissue buildup right now. I'm too afraid to start massaging it, but I have a big lump, like that fold thing, which I didn't have the first time. So I'm thinking once I start being able to massage it, hopefully it starts to flatten out. But yeah, baby's doing amazing. That's kind of, I think that's everything regarding my birth story. That's how it went down. I had a C-section again. Recovery's been fine. And baby's doing great. We're really, really lucky. He didn't need much support at all, and within 2 days was off everything. So we're really, really lucky, and he's breastfeeding, so he might be home soon. But that is really everything that happened. That is my labor and delivery story. I got to experience labor without the full experience, so it is what I expected it to be. And now, apparently, I'm destined for a C-section for every other baby that comes out. So, anyways, it is what it is. I got bullied into another C-section. It's fine, because I'm fine, baby's fine. And yeah, that's it. So, thank you for watching. I'm an emotional wreck. I have been all week. The first week I was not. I was like really solid, really positive, but it's just getting harder leaving baby there, and I want him home, and it's just, oh, it's getting tiring and exhausting and overwhelming. So I'm probably gonna go cry again. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.